So Christians, all my life I was taught that faith was a good thing, to have the faith of a child, faith smaller than a grain of mustard. All that stuff was good and esteemed and stuff. But then I looked at this right here. Doubting Thomas. He actually, well, I don't really believe this Bible to be the Bible to be true, but the story in the Bible, Jesus actually presents him with something else other than faith. He says, "Put your hand in my side." You know, if faith is such an esteemed thing, why isn't God doing that today? Why isn't he giving other forms of evidence instead of just saying, read this book that that has been passed down and altered and written and stuff like that, without actually saying something or doing something?
So as to appreciate your time and not drone on when I've covered this recently in another video, we're not going to cover this idea that she threw in right at the end about, well, this book's been altered through time and all that sort of thing. That is a legitimate question to ask about, and obviously there's an answer to that in previous videos. But really what we want to focus on is this dichotomy the Bible seems to champion, and that you should just have faith, have faith, have faith. But then why is Jesus giving Thomas all this evidence? Looks like Jesus is fine with people getting evidence. Maybe what the problem is, as we've discussed quite a bit lately, is most notably in the video response to Apologia recently, is that it's a misunderstanding of faith as it's understood and used, not of evidence. And we do think that Jesus gives us evidence today. We do think miracles happen today. We do think healings happen today. But we also think there's plenty of publicly available evidence all over the place when we're talking about the existence of God, the theistic arguments, the world around you that you can open your eyes and look at. But you know, you've got the evidence for God's existence that is accessible to you, I think, whether it's convincing to you or not. You have the case for the resurrection. You have the fact that if like, for those of you that like maybe are agnostic but about religion, but you do actually believe there is a theistic God or something, if you can simply grant that, okay, based on the moral argument or our moral impressions, it's at least likely or plausible that a good God exists. And since we have this desire to have relationships with one another, it makes sense that whatever God exists who intended man to result that way would also be interested in morality and relationship. So what I could do, and I'm just saying this is a soft case you could make just in your own thinking. I'm not saying that it's like a slam dunk or anything or clinching, but I think it's helpful. Is then you think, okay, if you have a God who's interested in morality and has given us some of those moral senses, and then or at least wanted us to result with those, and then you also think that we have like this desire and longing for relationship, and maybe God wanted that, okay, then what you could do is look at the major world religions, because God will want to get that message out, right? So you look at the major world religions, and is there anyone who says anything like that? Oh my goodness, right in the middle of the three great monotheistic religions is someone who showed up and claimed to be doing exactly that, to present morality, love, and relationship with people, with the whole world, and said that this would go throughout the whole world. And oh, guess what? It went throughout the whole world. You know, you could look at stuff like that. But you have evidence for God's existence, for the resurrection. It's all, you can access this evidence today. But there's a dichotomy here, a juxtaposition between faith as this atheist understands it, or agnostic, and then the evidence that the Bible seems to give us and talk about, that at least people then had. Well, maybe the explanation is not that there's something wrong with how you're thinking about God giving us evidence. I would suggest that this is a colloquial understanding of faith, but the truth is that faith is trust. So did Thomas have to exercise faith? Yes. Oh, but not after he was able to see the holes in the nails. No. He still was able to exercise faith. Well, what do you mean? It wasn't much faith? Well, sure. It's because we understand faith to be trust. You trust in God that he will do for you in the future what he said he would do based on what we have good evidence he's done in the past. I have really good evidence that I can trust God and Jesus based on all the evidence I have. But I still have faith. I trust. I put faith in God that he'll do what he says based on all the good evidence I have back here currently, right? and looking at the world in all the ways that we take in knowledge, right? So that's how that works. There's no problem here. God's still happy to give evidence. It's just faith. It still requires faith, but it's trust, right? In Thomas's case, he had every reason to already trust, right? That's the important thing there.